So the story of homelessness has shaped the city of Chico more than any other issue in the last decade. And most people, if you're planning on moving here, that's a top issue for you as well. Does Chico have a homeless problem in 2026? Well, today we're going to get into the history of what happened, what's being done right now, and what does the future look like in the issue of homelessness as it pertains to Chico, California. So let's talk about the history of homelessness in Chico. Well, it has to start with the state level. From a top-down perspective, the state of California has aided many of the cities in having a major homeless problem. This is because of things like mental health, their stance on drug addiction and crime, the high cost of housing in the area, and many other things. So the state of California has the highest population by far of homeless people than any other state in the United States. So when I personally saw the area of homelessness really explode in Chico was after the Camp Fire. The Camp Fires were Paradise, which is just up the hill from Chico, lost 27,000 houses in a massive fire. And Chico became ground zero of basically taking care of homeless people, literally people who lost their home. So there's tons of free meals, there were tons of free handouts, free shoes, free pillows, free everything. And while this was amazing for the residents who lost their houses, it also attracted homeless people from all over the place. But as the aid died down in the year after the Camp Fire, a lot of those people had left, but still some remained. But around the time of 2020, during COVID and all that other stuff, the city council passed what was termed as the Brown New Deal. This was put forward by council member Alex Brown of the Chico City Council. And what this did was it allowed homeless people to camp in downtown Chico, Bidwell Park, and other vibrant areas of civic life within the city of Chico. And in the aftermath of the Brown New Deal, there was also an organization called Northern Valley Harm Reduction Coalition, and they were providing needles in public parks for people, clean needles for people who are addicted to injecting drugs into their system. And the idea behind all this was we want to provide beautiful places for people who are experiencing homelessness to camp and live. We want to provide clean needles for people who are addicted to drugs. But practically what ended up happening is we kind of created a haven for homeless drug users all throughout the city. And there's no doubt that Bidwell Park became a large and massive homeless campground. So it became this great divide. Now, I don't like to get into politics here on my channel, but you can't talk about the area of homelessness in Chico without getting into politics. So during the time of the Brown New Deal and allowing people to camp everywhere, the harm reduction with the needle handouts, and the attempt to eliminate sit and lie, we had a 5-2 liberal city council majority. So a lot of these ideas that got passed were coming from the liberal side of the political aisle. But Chico saw a major pushback from a grassroots movement called Safe Chico. In the election of 2022, we saw one of the major reversals in Chico's history. The city council in one election went from a 5-2 liberal majority to a 6-1 conservative supermajority. It was a complete reversal, and a lot of it had to do with the area of homelessness and the needle handout. And the whole idea behind that movement politically was to restore public safety and cleanliness. And so when this conservative city council got in, they felt they had a mandate from the people to completely clean up the city. And that they did. They removed tons of trash. They evicted homeless people from Bidwell Park, downtown Chico, and other areas of the city. They enforced all the city's no camping ordinances and completely cleared out these campgrounds. I mean, the change was essentially night and day. It felt like almost overnight we went from a downtown that had homeless everywhere to a basically cleaned up city. But while they were cleaning up these campsites, they were a little too aggressive, and they were sued by an organization called the Legal Services of Northern California, which essentially stated that you can't evict homeless people from campgrounds unless you have an alternative place for them to go. And while Chico did have space in their different shelters, we didn't have a city organized pallet shelter or anything like that. And thus enter a major issue with the homeless issue in Chico, which is called this settlement agreement. So from that settlement agreement, the city created what's called a pallet shelter, which is a large place designated for homeless people to go, where they provided meals, air conditioning, showers, security, and the like. In addition to that, according to the agreement, they have to provide adequate shelter for homeless. They have to provide campgrounds as well, so that people can camp if they refuse to go to a shelter. And so that is basically the policy of Chico right now, is under this settlement agreement, which essentially allows you to evict homeless people from public spaces, but not permanently. But it's created what a lot of people call a whack-a-mole kind of situation, where essentially a campsite will be set up in a public space. They'll be noticed to be evicted. You have to to wait a few weeks, then the eviction takes place, but those folks just move to a different place, which they are then noticed, a few weeks go by, and they're evicted, and they go to a different place, they're noticed, a few weeks go by, and they're evicted, and that kind of thing. But almost always, during the entire time, there's always availability at places like the Pallet Shelter, the Jesus Center, and the Tourist Shelter, which are homeless centers that help people get on their feet and get into transitional housing and then basically become productive members of society. But not everyone wants to go to a shelter, and so therefore they are allowed to camp in a public place where there's no camping allowed for a certain amount of time in which they're evicted and they move to another place. And currently in Chico, there is no way, no matter how conservative or how hard you want to press on no homeless camping in public spaces, there is no way to get around the settlement agreement. Now, the settlement agreement does not last forever. It terminates on January 14, 2027. And without the settlement agreement, the city council can evict people to public spaces, not allow them to come back, and mandate that they go to a homeless shelter or the Pallet Shelter, the Tourist Shelter, or some other place. And so where Chico goes with homelessness, we've already seen radical shifts from 2020 and the Brown New Deal and the harm reduction needle handout to cleaning everything up immediately. If Chico has a homeless problem, so to speak, will be completely determined at the ballot box. And that's one of the difficult things about Chico is you don't know which way it's gonna go. And so if we have clean and safe downtown and Bidwell Park, or if the city's gonna cater more to our homeless population, allow them to park, camp, and live in those spaces is completely up to the political will of the city of Chico. But also keep in mind that the state of California has a lot of power, but really, if Chico itself has a homeless problem, is completely a local politics issue. And so what do you think? What would you rather have? Do you rather agree with the right and say, hey, we want to cater towards more of the taxpayer, or do you agree with the left and say, you know what, we need to be more compassionate to homeless people, and that means allowing them to camp where they would like to? And so what are your thoughts? This is the most hotly debated topic, and I pray that I was fair to both sides, but what are your thoughts about the issue of homelessness in Chico? Please let your comments be heard in the comment section below, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll see you on the next one.